The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza is officially going into effect. Our top story looks at the concessions that Israel and Hamas made after 2 years of fighting in the Gaza Strip and what lies ahead for Palestinians in the war-torn enclave.
After 2 years of a war that shattered lives and leveled homes, scenes of joy filled the streets of the narrow strip, celebrating a breakthrough in ceasefire negotiations.
Gaza is like a phoenix. It rises from under the rubble and from the aches and destruction to start a new life and show the whole world that Gaza does not love wars and death, but Gaza loves life.
But behind the euphoric scenes lies a devastating toll. Over 60,000 Palestinians have been killed, with many more missing or under rubble. Nearly 1.9 million displaced Palestinians now live in dire humanitarian conditions, struggling with hunger, disease, and massive destruction. The peace push by US President Donald Trump has provided many Arab and Muslim states the chance to back peace in Gaza. It's a window of opportunity for Israel's neighbors to play a role in the post-war era. Starting this week, a joint Israel-US-Qatari-Egyptian task force will be established to locate the bodies of deceased hostages in the Palestinian enclave. The 20 remaining hostages believed to be alive are also returning home.
We're so happy to hear that the hostages are coming back. This is the joy that we are waiting for this holiday.
Time and again, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he would never hold fire until Hamas made concrete concessions, surrendered, and left the enclave. But when his largest backer, Donald Trump, laid out a 20-point document and said this is the best deal Bibi would ever get, Netanyahu seemingly learnt the limits of military power. So even when Trump stamped a security guarantee for Qatar and vowed that Israel won't annex the occupied West Bank, Bibi had to listen. The US president hails the proposal as a peace plan for the entire West Asia region. A plan that he believes will knit even Washington's staunch enemy Iran into the picture. For Israel, its largest concession remains that the IDF was not able to eradicate Hamas. Even though IDF has killed its top leadership, including Deif, Yahya Sinwar and Ismail Haniyeh, Israeli reports suggest that hundreds of armed factions remain. Hamas conceded on its largest bargaining chip, the removal of all Israeli forces and establishment of a sovereign Palestinian state. The Palestinian militant group was also condemned by the Arab League for launching an attack on Israel 2 years ago. While rebuilding is essential for the future of Gaza, there are also fears that the enclave will descend into lawlessness, with Hamas and its factions present on the ground. With Hamas and its factions present on the ground, the governance plan for Gaza remains to be mapped out. Palestinians face the daunting task of rebuilding their homeland. And for that to happen, the UN estimates that Gaza will require more than $50 billion for reconstruction. Rebuilding the infrastructure alone could take at least 15 years.
It's true that our homes are destroyed and our situation is not perfect, but despite everything we are going back and we are staying steadfast in Gaza. Gaza is our home. Nothing is more precious than Gaza.
This is a glimmer of hope and peace in the enclave. But it would take years to heal from what happened on October 7th, 2023 and its impact. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
were earlier joined by Major Dan Pfefferman, national security analyst and intelligence officer and co-editor of Middle East 24, and Mohammed Najib, a war correspondent and security analyst who shared their thoughts on the ongoing talks about Gaza and its future. Take a listen.
Hamas understood, and in part of its plan, we knew it could not win a war against Israel, and so its strategy, and has been since 2006, when it started launching these attacks against Israel, is strike Israel and then manipulate the international media and then push for a ceasefire. So that's what it wanted. The second part is going to be much trickier, because the second part, while it is a win for the Palestinians, it is a loss for Hamas. Hamas has to be willing to accept defeat. Israel, of course, had to agree that it wants no control over Gaza in the long term, that it will not resettle Gaza, had to agree to let basically a non-Hamas entity, maybe the Palestinian Authority, retake the Gaza Strip, which is something that it was very hesitant to do, given the weak performance of the Palestinian Authority in the past. But it is essentially Hamas agreeing to disarm, dismantle, and it's very hard for me to see how it's actually going to agree to implement what is essentially its own loss, its own exit from the political scene. Hamas wants to retain power. It wants to retain its arms. It has shown over the last 2 years that it has not just zero regard for the well-being of the Palestinian civilians, but they are quite useful pawns in its long-term strategy, and it's willing to sacrifice them quite readily.
Palestinians don't want to see Hamas in governance. The people of Gaza, the people in the West Bank, the Egyptian, the Arab countries, because what Hamas did wasn't good for the Palestinians, wasn't good for the Israelis, wasn't good for the whole region. They destroyed the stability for the last 2 years and caused a heavy cause. And it also defamed the image of the Palestinian cause. Palestinians look like a terrorist, because instead of becoming struggling to have a state live in peace beside the state of Israel. So the plan is not an ideal, and it needs to work a lot, but I am sure that the mediators will do maximum efforts to make things happen and to reach a ceasefire and to allow the entry of the humanitarians and to allow the Israeli hostages to go back safely on Monday back to Israel. So that will be great for the region, and thanks to Trump who did that.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.